If you're familiar with Sony Pictures Animation, then you should know that they don't have the best track record when it comes to their films. While they do have some successes such as Surf's Up, they also have major stinkers like the Emoji Movie. I'm sorry, I mean multiple Golden Raspberry Awards winner, the Emoji Movie. That of course brings me to their latest movie, Peter Rabbit. While I hadn't planned to do another movie review so soon after my last one, I really felt like giving my thoughts on this movie, and plus, with the delivery of my copy of Kirby Star Allies apparently being delayed by Amazon, hey, I have some free time. The plot of Peter Rabbit is simple enough. Based on the characters from the children's books by Beatrix Potter, the film centers around Peter Rabbit, his cousin Benjamin, and his three sisters, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail. At the beginning of the movie, the rabbits have fallen into a routine of picking on old Mr. McGregor and stealing vegetables from his garden. When one of McGregor's relatives suddenly moves in, the rabbits believe that this is the long-awaited change that they have been waiting for. However, they soon learn that he is less than thrilled to discover the family of rabbits and wants them nowhere near his home. Not only that, but when the new Mr. McGregor begins to take an interest in the warm-hearted animal lover who lives next door, well, I'll let Bugs Bunny explain this one.
Of course you realize this means war.
And so, a battle of wits breaks out as the new owner goes toe-to-toe with the ever-resourceful Peter Rabbit and gang who refuse to give up. So what did I think about the movie? Personally, I quite enjoyed it. While it is indeed still a silly kids movie and is nowhere near the level of, say, a Pixar film, I was still impressed with how much fun I had watching it. One thing I like was that the characters felt very real. I don't want to get too deep into this, but a good example is, of course, Peter Rabbit. As the film progresses and we learn more about him, we see that although he appears to be just a fun-loving troublemaker, there's more than meets the eye. And the way he learns to grow is satisfying. Another thing I enjoyed was the humor. I felt the humor was quite good and even quite self-aware, which impressed me. For instance, one of my favorite gags was that whenever a death was referenced, one of the rabbit sisters would make sure to crush whatever she had in her paw into juice and then pour one out for the deceased. It may not sound like much, but I enjoyed the attention to detail. Not only that, but you know when people are in the middle of a fight and each time someone who is off screen comes back in, they try to act like they weren't just at each other's throats? This movie actually makes a joke pointing to that trope, so that's kinda cool. Finally, I just overall enjoyed the story. While it may not be the most original story and had its tropes, I still think that the way the movie paced itself and portrayed the battle between the rabbits and McGregor was fun. However, that does not mean that the movie does not have its flaws. While they in no way change my opinion of the film and my enjoyment of it, allow me to be perfectly honest and mention them. One thing that I saw a lot of people mention online is that the movie tries too hard by explaining its own jokes. While I feel that this is done more in a way to break the fourth wall and be meta or make it easier to understand for children, fair enough. Another thing that people didn't like is that it uses too much pop music. I think that someone mentioned there being like 15 different songs. Well, I feel like the music isn't that noticeable as you watch the movie and blends in quite fine. Once again, take that as a heads up if you hate movies with an overabundance of pop tracks. Finally, a lot of people feel that the tone and humor of this movie goes against or betrays the original stories. When it comes to this, I have only briefly read through some of the Peter Rabbit books and didn't exactly grow up with them, so I can in no way really give input either way. I guess all I can say is that if you read these stories or are familiar with them, then be careful going into this movie, as the new approach to this material may not be to your liking. So in the end, would I recommend this movie? Sure. While I can of course only speak for myself, I quite enjoyed it, and though it has its flaws, I think that it is a lot of fun. But hey, that's just my opinion. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just a wannabe reviewer. Thanks for watching.